Today, I thought we could chat through what is currently on my transitional season wish list, or more specifically, because I am in Australia, what is on my spring wish list. I'm going to dive straight into it, and everything that I mentioned will be linked down in the description box below. The very first thing on my wish list is the Italian sporty nylon dress from Tibi. I have purchased a few of their nylon pieces, both crispy nylon and the sporty nylon in the past, and what I love about them is their ease of care. The fact that they are items that I don't have to be too precious with despite the price tag. I know that if I'm wearing them around my kids and they get dirty, I can just throw them in the washing machine and they'll come out looking like new. And that is something that really appeals to me, especially if I am spending that slightly higher price point. I want to make sure that it isn't going to be too precious, that it's just going to sit in the back of my wardrobe, as that does not feel like a good purchase. And it has that femininity of the pleated skirt, something that I personally really love, which feels juxtaposed by the more revealing open back. So that is the first thing. I have got this sitting on my seasonal wish list on the Carded app, and this part of the video does include a paid for integration with Carded, which is an app that I have been using since I first got introduced to it a few months ago. It has actually completely changed the game for me. And if you're not familiar with Carded, it is more than just a wish listing app, because it also sends you price alerts when there are price drops, if there are site-wide discount codes that you should be aware of for stores that you have been saving into your wish list. And I really love using it both for this feature, but also for that mood boarding functionality, because you can create different lists, add items, whether you want to do this by season, category, by color, maybe by a particular item. I might have a specific list dedicated just to black mini dresses, and all the ones that I've kind of seen, I will put on there. And it's quite cool because when you do save something to the Carded app, you can also include links to any other retailer that is stocking the same item. And then if it drops in price at any of those retailers, you will get that little notification popping up on your phone, which is incredibly handy. And this is definitely one of those ways that I have saved money on my purchases. I know many of us are probably planning ahead of Black Friday and just November in general, because there are so many discounts. And this way you don't need to go and seek them out. You'll be getting those price drop notifications delivered straight to your phone, so you don't actually need to do any of the work yourself. The other thing the app will do is they'll actually send you a notification if the item that you've wish listed has sold out and then come back in stock. As you can imagine, this is a feature I personally really value as someone who tends to sit on a purchase for quite a long time. Generally, I would try and think about my purchases for 30 days or more, and sometimes those things go out of stock. So getting the alerts that they're back in stock when I'm actually ready and prepared to buy, or I've decided that's something I want to buy, is really useful. The app is really user-friendly and I love the interface. And there's a couple of different ways that you can add items to one of your wish lists. So you can either copy the link and then add the item directly within the Carded app, or alternatively, you can use the share extension when you're browsing on your phone and then add it directly to one of your lists that way as well, which I find super easy. This is definitely one of the ways that I stop myself from having, 300 different tabs open with all the things that I'm looking at. And it explains why I've got over 150 items saved in my Carded app right now. And I do kind of go through and I cull things occasionally, and I like that you can delete a whole bunch of items all at once or just individually. You can also mark the items that you've bought as purchased, and then you can toggle whether or not you can see that within your view, which I like. A couple of other features that I really love about the Carded app are the ability to share your list, and I will leave some links to some of my wish lists down in the description box below in case you want to see a bit of a broader look at what I'm currently saving and looking at. But I think this is great if you want to share your list with your friends and family. Maybe it's ahead of a birthday or Christmas, so really convenient, especially as we kind of head into the holiday season. And also you can pop little notes as well on each of the items that you have saved too, which I think is really handy. Carded is available both on Android and Apple devices. I will be sure to leave a link down in the description box below to where you can download it for yourself. I know those of you who have gotten the app after I shared it on Instagram have loved using it as much as I do, and it really is just such a helpful tool, especially when you are trying to be really mindful and considered with what you're adding to your closet. Okay, so let's continue on with what I've got on my wish list. And the next thing I thought I would talk about is a little black dress, seeing as I mentioned it before. Now, I have been thinking that I would like to add a second linen or cotton mini dress to my wardrobe for spring summer, as I know it is such a hero piece for me. It's something I rely on a lot, and I really love this one I've got from Everlane, which feels a little bit more casual just from the kind of tie detail at the neckline. So I wanted a style that was a little bit more dressed up, but still had that relaxed feel. And I found this one from Posse. It has a square neckline, so visually it feels very different to the Everlane one that I already have, and it has that A-line silhouette, and I feel quite comfortable in this, especially as I found since having kids I tend to bloat a lot more easily, so I'm more prone to wanting to wear things that are a little bit looser rather than items that are incredibly snug, unless it's a pair of jeans or trousers that are kind of keeping me snatched in. And yeah, I like the length of this. I'm just kind of waiting to see whether or not it will go down in price, which I'm hoping maybe with the Black Friday sales, fingers crossed, I'll get one of those carded alerts come through, but that is sort of the other dress that I am looking at the moment. Moving on to a pair of shoes, and one of the things I've really been trying to track down is a great pair of snake print flats. I did order some from Arket when they had their 15% off sale, and unfortunately they were just all kinds of wrong for me. They have a squared off toe, and I think what I've realized is that feels a little bit too blunt. I like something that either has an almond toe or a pointed toe. Those are just kind of the best shapes for me. And what I've realized is that I really like that more brown or gray colored snake print as opposed to the more yellow toned snake print. And it's actually been quite difficult to seek out all of the characteristics that I like. I have found a couple of pairs. I ended up finding two pairs on Nordstrom, the first pair being from Naturalizer, and I really love this snake print. It's the perfect color. I'm just not 100% sure on the shape. It reminds me of a cross between the Arket flats and then also my Everlane day gloves, which have this very modern feeling to them, and I do really like the high vamp. The price on them is pretty good too. I don't feel like they're overly expensive. And the second pair that I saw is from Clarks, and these actually remind me a lot of my Margot ballet flats, which I like for their classic silhouette and style. And I wonder if I might be able to find these ones locally, so I'm definitely going to do a little bit more digging so that I can add an additional store into my carded app for these shoes. But again, they have that right shade of snake print that I really like, so I thought those could be fun. And to me, this is just a really interesting way to add in a sense of texture and print and color into an outfit, especially when I do tend to lean mostly on all neutrals. Which I guess kind of brings me to the next item on my wish list, which also brings in that sense of color. This is a necklace from Dauphine, I think is how you pronounce it, and their jewelry is just absolutely beautiful. I really love this particular style as it feels quite easy and relaxed, very organic with the rope necklace and then the stone pendant. And I thought that reddy orange burnt terracotta hue of the stone would be a great way to add that little burst of color near my face and sort of brighten up my outfits a little bit. Very simple. And I do have a similar style from a New Zealand brand called Flash jewelry, and I really love it. So this is a great way to kind of bring in a similar vibe but in a completely different color that will allow me to kind of transform my outfits in a way. I have a couple of jackets on my wish list, and I have to say I probably don't need either of them, especially because I know this spring season is so short here in Australia. But first one is a trench coat from Arket, and I'm kind of kicking myself for not actually buying this one when they had the 15% off discount. I decided to order a few other things instead, and this was one of the ones that didn't make the cut. It is a dark green trench, and I love all the snap poppers on it. I think that that just adds a kind of unexpected touch. It feels a little bit more utilitarian. I like trench coats specifically that aren't in those traditional expected colors of beige, camel, navy, or black. And I think that dark green is a great way to bring in that depth and that unexpected touch to this utilitarian style. And I also really like the oversized silhouette as well. It doesn't feel too exaggerated. It feels quite easy. I have actually also, since I spotted this, seen a couple of people wearing this on social media, and it looks really great as well. I like the length of it. Being taller, I do tend to prefer a longer trench coat as opposed to one that hits above the knee. I just think that that length is a little bit more dramatic. So that's another one that I've been eyeing up, but I'm kind of loath to buy things for next year because I know what I'm like, and I know I'll end up seeing something else I love in the meantime. So if you have this trench coat, or if you've seen it in real life, can you please tell me, is it worth buying now, or should I just wait and see if it ends up in the end of season sale? The other jacket that I've seen is from W Concept, and this is a collarless design. It is black, it hits around the hip, and it has these kind of voluminous sleeves. I really love the more formal, elegant silhouette, and I think this is something that I am missing in my wardrobe. It has kind of more of a modern touch to it with the shape and the fabric being more of a flat fabric as opposed to the tweed of the jacket I'm wearing right now, which feels a little bit more inherently classic, timeless, as opposed to classic modern, which are two different ends of that spectrum. I feel like I say this all the time, but do not sleep on Korean brands. I say my only complaint with Korean brands is that they are very limited in terms of their size range. Usually they go from extra small to maybe a medium or a large, and sometimes their items fit on the smaller side. So sometimes I'll end up buying a medium because I know it's going to fit me better than a small would. But I just thought this jacket was incredibly chic, and I can see it working really well with my existing wardrobe, just adding in that slightly different silhouette. And I have gotten rid of a lot of my more cropped or shorter jackets, just as I find that they don't always hit me at the same place, but I have very specific silhouettes in mind that I feel like this would work with. So one I'm going to consider a little bit longer, mull over a bit more, but very, very chic nonetheless. And I know W Concept always do a really good Black Friday sale, so maybe one I'll keep an eye on around that time. I'm beginning to notice that I'm developing a bit of an unhealthy obsession with Bermuda shorts. I got a pair from Koto just before winter sort of set in, and so I wasn't able to really start wearing them until recently. And I love the shape, the silhouette, the fact that it adds a bit of freshness to my outfits, something that feels exciting while it's still really a basic. And it's funny because my mum wore Bermuda shorts a lot, and I always just felt like they were a bit too long, but now I see the light and I want to bring that more into my outfits. I'm loving that silhouette, but I want to have it in more colors. So I did spot a pair on the Dish website, which I really, really like. And these are more of a suiting fabrication. So given the fact that they're an off-white color, I'm thinking, how easy are these going to be to launder? And that is a really big consideration for me. So knowing that I could just throw them in the wash, maybe they'll need a fabric shaver run over them every now and then if they pill up. I don't mind that. I'm quite happy to kind of maintain, upkeep my clothing. That's not an issue. So knowing that I can easily launder them is sort of the big thing. And I like the fact that the actual shape is not too voluminous. They do also have a denim pair in an off-white, which is slightly wider cut through the leg. So next time I'm in Bondi, I might try and pop into the Dish store and see if they've got them available there to try on, so that I can contrast and compare between the two styles, wait and see if they end up going on sale through Carded. But definitely a style that I am really, really loving. And it's funny because when I put on my Evelyn denim shorts the other day, they did actually feel a little bit too short. And I'm wondering if this is just my eye adjusting, because I have been preferring my Bermudas over my A-line denim shorts instead. Next we have a cardigan, and I know I do not need any knitwear, but it is in a color that is just so sumptuous, so beautiful and rich. And I tried this on in person, and I have been waiting months for this to go on sale. It's from Victorian Woods, and it's a really lovely merino wool cardigan. I like the fit of it because it's slightly kind of wider cut across the shoulders. It's got a drop shoulder effect, and then it's slim fitting at the waist. So it really allows you to play with those proportions. And this color is something that is lacking in my closet. I feel like it would add a lot of depth while still being really easy neutral. So kind of crossing my fingers that Cardig comes through, that there's a sale and my size is still available, because it is incredibly chic. Okay, I've got a couple of items on my wish list from Alpha 60, which I have to say is fast becoming one of my favorite brands. I went into their store maybe 6 weeks ago, and I ended up coming away purchasing a pair of jeans and a car coat. And the jeans in particular, I'm wearing them right now, but they are just one of my favorite styles in my wardrobe because they cut so well and they're incredibly comfortable. And I spotted a couple of other things in store which I really love the look of, and I immediately added them to my wish list. So the first is a cotton canvas hat. I like the fact that this has got the tie that comes underneath the neck, and it came in a few different colors, but the navy was the one that I thought might be the best option for me as a neutral that isn't going to be too high contrast near my face. Also gives you really nice coverage as well, and being in Australia, sun smart, sun protection, something that I'm all over and always thinking about. Then the other thing that I spotted in store, and I didn't have time to try it on, is a black and brown check skirt. I'm not sure if this fit will work for me, but I did really, really love the color combination, and I know they've done a few different styles in their collection in this print. So maybe next time I'm in Newtown, I can pop in and try on a few of the styles. But I really loved both of those two items, along with a lot more from the store, but those sort of limiting myself, those would be my top two favorites right now. Of course, I've got a few more pairs of shoes on my wish list because these are my ultimate weakness. First being from Tory Burch, and I'm loving their creative direction at the moment. It feels really modern, really pushed, very fresh. They've also got their classics, but I really like the different direction they're taking the brand in. And I bought the Pierce Mules a while back. I really, really loved the look of this this sort of style. I thought it felt very different and something that was missing, and I always love an unusual shoe, and they are amazing. I really, really love them. They did give me a blister at first, but now they're very comfortable to wear. And then I spotted that for the season ahead, they had done these sandals which kind of wrap around the foot, and they also have that embellishment to them, the metal embellishment at the toe that kind of sits just above the toe post. And I like that these wrap around the foot in a way that looks like your foot will stay firmly in the shoe, as that's kind of one of those considerations for me when I am buying any shoes. They need to be practical, and the white feels really fresh. I don't have any white shoes, and I've always really struggled to find white shoes that I love. So these are ones that I'm considering. The fact that the hardware is silver as well, and I find silver really suits me when I am a little bit more pale like I am currently. So I don't know, I've been tossing those ones up. And then the other pair of shoes is another ballet flat style. These ones are from J. Crew, and I think, I have this feeling they might have sold out my size already, but they're satin in this interesting muted brown plummy color, and they have the strap across the top of the foot, but then they're backless. And I just feel like this is quite an interesting style, and I can see this color being really, really versatile. I have clients on Index who have this exact sort of color in their wardrobe, and it just seems to go with everything. And I can see how I could have that utility in my own wardrobe in a style that feels very familiar, but also slightly different. I have one more item on my wish list, and this one is from Quint. And actually I had this in my cart, and then I decided, you know what, I'm gonna wait, I'm gonna mull this over, and then it sold out in my size. It is their 100% yak wool sweater. Now, if you're thinking this looks incredibly familiar, it is because it is cut so similarly to the Gaspard sweater from Cezanne, which I've always said I feel like that is incredibly overrated. I don't like the composition of the fabric, and that's the thing that has always stopped me from wanting to wear it when I've owned it myself. I love the fact that the Quince one is 100% yak. So you know it's going to be really soft and fluffy. Yak wool tends to be quite a cozy sort of a fabric. Feels very similar to just a merino wool, and I like the colors that they've done too. They've just done 3, and they all feel like interesting. I mean, you've got black, but the other 2 feel like interesting neutrals. The price point is really good. I think it's $60 US, which is incredibly reasonable for a sweater of this style. And I think I have $25 in credit too from previous purchases, so it makes the price even lower for me if I end up buying it. I use mail forwarding to buy from Quint for anyone who is curious. Everything that I get from there gets sent to a US address, and then I forward it on to Australia, and then I just pay the additional postage fee. But yeah, that is the other thing that I have on my wish list right now. So there's 2 cardigans kind of sitting there, and it's maybe a one or the other type of thing. So maybe if the Vic and Woods one doesn't go on sale, I'll get the Quince one. So those are the things that I'm sort of considering for the season ahead. And you know, I may not end up buying any of these things. I may just end up looking at them, admiring them from afar, coveting them, and then just letting them pass me by, as I often tend to do with things like this. But I hope that you enjoyed, and I would love to know what is currently on your wish list, what you're thinking about purchasing for spring or autumn if you're in the Northern Hemisphere. If you don't have the Carded app already and you would love to download it, don't forget I will have that link down in the description box below where you can go and check it out for yourself. And yeah, thank you so much for spending some of your day with me. I will see you next week with a brand new video. See you soon. Bye.